we're here today, and we got Ellie with us here at the Crafty Art Shack. Ellie is one of my granddaughters, and we're going to be doing a craft here today. Two little jars that we have set up with stencils on that we cut out with our Cricut. You can probably see it better on this one. It says Hello Fall and Hello Pumpkin. And Ellie's going to choose which one she wants to do. Now, we're going to use little sponge brushes, and we're going to use Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. We're going to make sure. All right, y'all, we're going to use that chalk paint, and we're going to use little sponge brushes, and we're going to paint these now. This is really simple. You're going to want to take your stickers off the bottom. You're just going to dab your sponge brush in the linen white chalk paint, and you're just going to dab it all over your jar. Now this is so simple, even Ellie could do it. And once you get it, you want to get real good coverage on it, and sometimes it takes 2 or 3 coats of this to do it, but you don't want to put it on too thick to start with because you don't want to get any bleed. So Ellie came up with her own way of holding that little jar just so she could get it painted and it wouldn't be sliding away from her because she's got such little hands. Okay, now we finished, and we're taking off those little Cricut stencils. Now I'm using a dental tool from the Dollar Tree. Ellie asked could she use it, and it was too small for her hands, and so I had to stop, and I went over there and showed her how she could get it off. You want to get it under those little letters, but you want to be careful not to scratch your jar because it will make your design look a lot different. And see, we just pull those off and voila. All right, you guys, these turned out so cute. Okay, here we are with craft number 1.5. Ellie just wanted to show y'all and draw a picture for y'all, and then she wanted me to put it up on the refrigerator after we were done. But y'all watch her do this really quick.
Guys, and there is Ellie's picture that she drew for us here at Crafty Art Shack. She just wanted to make sure she shared something with us. And Grandma's gonna put this on her refrigerator. And Ellie, tell them what this is.
A heart pizza.
A heart pizza.
All right, you guys, here we are with craft number 2. And you're gonna need one of those placemats from Dollar Tree, some cork, sheets, and blinds. And here's a picture up here in the corner of the blinds. And what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that I wipe them down and clean them really good on both sides. Now, you guys, we have a place called the Restore in our area, and my husband went over there and found these for me. So now what you see me doing is I'm taking that placemat and I'm cutting off the edge of that because I don't want it to be rounded. I want it to look more like a picture, not a placemat. So I'm going to cut the other side as well. And now when you cut this other side, what you want to do is, I was having problems, you guys, this is not my normal equipment that I usually work with. Oh, I'll be so glad when I get it all back. But you want to take that piece and lay it down, and you want to kind of measure it out. And you got to remember to stick it up underneath the edge of that cutter so that it's the same size, or you'll cut it too big. And so I put it in there, and I kind of make sure it's straightened out. And yeah, I'm having to really fuss with this thing. So now that I got it where I want it, I'm going to pull out that little piece. No measuring involved. Super simple. Now your blade on this, if your cutter is really sharp, sorry for making the camera shake, and you notice it moved on me, so I got to go back and place it in there. You guys, you could cut this with a pair of scissors. You don't have to cut it on this, and you can draw you a line and then cut it with a pair of scissors and get a nice straight line just as good. But I had this, so I was trying to make it work. and then you just pop it up and it will come right off of there. So the next thing I do is I lay it down on my 5 little blinds and see, kind of just laying it out, seeing how I want it to look and what I need to do next. Now you're going to need 5 of these mini blinds, and I took them the full length. Now this was one that was in somebody's bathroom before. So now what I did is I took these mini blinds and I'm going to take and make sure that all my little holes, and you see the holes where it was put together with the string, you want to make sure all your holes are facing inward. And because when you put your stuff on here, you don't want those to show. So what I'm doing now is I'm taping all of these so that it will, when I turn it over, it'll still be together somewhat. And I'm having issues trying to get stuff to work right. I'm improvising a lot, you guys, because like I said, and I know I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I am not used to not having my craft stuff available to me. So I'm having to be very, very creative, and that has proven to be very interesting. And you guys, if you see how I'm doing this, I'm putting glue down. I made it like a little triangle, put the glue down right in that spot, and then I let it flatten out, and that put the glue in the perfect place. But you know, those pieces didn't want to hold, so I took all that tape off and ran those straight stripes like what you see there. Now I'm going back and rubbing all that glue off because it wasn't coming out the way I wanted it to. And I'm turning it to make sure, see all those little holes where it was on there, and how I've got that one at the top. I'm pointing at it right now. You want to make sure that little hole is turned over. But again, I lay everything back down before I actually start gluing everything. And you guys, that's that fix-all glue. Now I told y'all to straighten out that thing, and I didn't do it. So guess what? Oh, I know why. Duh. Those little holes at the top need to be facing upward, because that's what we're going to make our hanger on. And you guys use a low temp hot glue gun, because when I turn this over, you'll see why you should have. Now I use the fix all and the hot glue, and right there in those little corners it made little divots in my mat. But the more I worked with it, and I'm trying to get something to hold it, and I just decide, well, I'm going to sit my paint can on it so it'll hold it down. I'm still trying to pick that other glue off. And I'm going to get a couple of other things here and set down on this to hold it down, because even my drink cup, because I'm trying to get it to stay in place until it's somewhat what it's supposed to be. Now I'm going to take my cork sheet. That cork sheet came from the Dollar Tree. Y'all, that placemat came from the Dollar Tree. And I'm going to take and I'm kind of eyeballing it, making sure it's even on the side of the mat where the placemat is. You want to make sure you have that same distance on the outside over there where your cork is going down. You guys, I love to work with these little blind slats, because they're like wood. Now I'm taking this piece of burlap. Now that burlap ribbon was on sale at the Michaels, and I think I paid $1 or something for the whole roll of it. And yes, I went to Michaels. I don't usually go to Michaels. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put hot glue down, and I'm going to put a little bit down, and you're going to want to make sure you got your little rubber fingers on there, because these things can get hot. And so I'm laying it down, and look, I go to touch it. I'm going to touch it with the ones that I don't have the things on. So each slat you're going to want to put some glue on, and then you're going to press down your burlap ribbon on each one. And then, like I said, make sure you got your little fingers on, because that stuff's hot. And then after you get that done, then I had a little piece of this burlap ribbon that I got from, I don't know where I got that from. but I'm going to put glue all the way down it. And you guys, I like to work in sections because it just makes it easier. The hot glue doesn't have time to dry on you if you work in sections, and then you don't get bumps and bubbles and stuff like that. So I'm going to finish gluing that down. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I am going to grab some little flowers. Now I don't want to fill up the whole back of the truck with flowers. I could, but I didn't because I don't have that many. And like I said, I'm cheap. I don't want to go buy no more. I got enough of them in where my craft stuff is, but hopefully in a couple of weeks I'm going to be getting to that stuff. So I'm going to glue these little flowers down and a little pumpkin down. Those all came from the Dollar Tree. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, looks like I'm cleaning up my desk. I'm going to take that string that came off the mini blinds, and one end of it has the little knob on it, and I'm going to take and wrap a piece of masking tape on this, the end of the string. Now that's the string that comes from the blinds. Now I'm going to run it through my little hole at the top. This is why we left the hole. And then I'm going to come back over to the other side and run it through that hole. And then I'm going to see how much I want. And then I'm going to take my other little end of the mini blinds. Now this one was a little scratched. And you guys, these blinds, you can get them fairly cheap if you have a restore in your area, or if you see somebody throwing them out, get them. Because they work just like little pieces of wood, and I love working with them. Now I'm running my string through there, and I'm trying to grab it with my Cricut tool, and it ain't working right, so I'm taking it off. Now if you just twist that string as you're putting it in, feeding it through the hole, it'll start going through there. See how easy that was? I tried to make it hard the first time. And then you want to tie a little knot in your string, and then you want to get your scissors and cut the end of that off. And then that little knot's going to, when you pull on that string, it's going to go up into there, and those two little knobs will be up there at the top. You guys, this turned out so cute. Now you want to go and you want to take off your masking tape off the back of this, and then it'll be ready to hang up. Oh my goodness, look at that. It is so cute. Here's DIY number 3. Now you're going to want one of those home calendars from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to use, I took my cardboard and I stuck it in there, and then I didn't even use my cutter like I was going to. I took my scissors out, and you're going to need one of these little jars from the Dollar Tree as well. Now I have a daughter that loves to bake, and I'm making this for her, and I'm going to fill it with some baking goods. So I cut out my little baking, I put it up to the jar to see what it would look like, and I know that it needs to be cut down to the normal size that the is around the calendar. And then I'm going to cut me a piece of this brown paper. Now that brown paper comes from the paint department in your Home Depot or your Lowe's. And then I'm going to take a glue stick, and it's Scotch Create. Now I haven't been in this in a while. You see what happens when you let it sit. It's hard to get open. I was checking it to make sure it was still good. I'm going to put some glue on that, and then I'm going to stick it right to the brown paper. Now why am I doing that? I'm doing that because I do not want the back of that calendar to show that it was a calendar that I put on there. So now what I'm going to do is just cut out the little brown paper from around it, so that when I put this on the jar and you're looking through the jar, if the jar was empty, that it would not have any of the calendar showing, because you know we want our crafts to look authentic. So that's what I did. I took some of that fix-all because I can't find my E600. We all know why. And I put the fix-all down. And I guess I could have put this down with Mod Podge. You guys, when you use this Mod Podge, Am I saying that right? Modge Podge? Anyway, when you put the Modge Podge down, which is what I'm going to get out next, and I'm going to get out my little sponge brush, you're going to want to use the one that is dishwasher safe if you're planning on putting this in the dishwasher. But for video purposes, this particular one, I'm just going to use the regular Mod Podge. I guess I'm not going to show y'all that I did it. I thought I did. Anyway, you're going to want to put Mod Podge over the top of that. There you go. And there I am. I'm putting it over the top. I thought I wasn't going to show y'all that. I thought I lost that in the editing. So anyway, you want to make sure you get those sides real good. And you don't want to go too far over the sides, because if it doesn't dry really clear, then it's going to leave a mark and you're kind of going to know that it was there. So I'm barely dabbing in it, just getting around those edges real good. And then once I do that, I'm going to go over the whole thing really good and make sure it's completely saturated with the Mod Podge. Now, for you guys that don't know, these jars are very easy to take apart. To take off that ring, you just do what I did. Take off that plastic ring. Then right here, you take that little clip and you slide it off. And then you take your other ring off. And then those pieces you're able to put them in the dishwasher. But if you didn't use that dishwasher safe Mod Podge, that's not going to work. Now, to put this back together, you're going to want to make sure it's in that little lip that's there. And then you're going to hold it with your 2 fingers. You're going to place the clip back on the jar, and then that's that piece. And then you're going to put your plastic ring on, and then you're going to pick up your other ring, and I'm showing you there's a lip right there. That's where you want this to ride. So you kind of hold it in your 2 fingers like I'm showing you, and you stick the lid back up in there, and right where that little lip is, that's where you want to put it in. And then you kind of got to hold it with your 2 hands, and you put one side on first, and then you take your thumb and push the other one over and clip it back on. And then you can close it up. And this, I think, just turned out adorable. My daughter who bakes is really, really gonna love this. And here it is, the finished product. Oh my goodness.
That's all, folks. We'll see you later. Bye.